guys do for us. We would not be able to put on events like this without you guys. So again, we really appreciate everything that you do for WIN. And then I mentioned this right at the beginning, but I'll say it again because not everyone was here yet, but go ahead and put your name, location, and company you work for in the chat. And then if you have any questions that you want to ask any of our MIWs throughout the event, go ahead and put that in the chat as well. We should have some time at the end for questions from the audience. And then if you want to ask that question to someone specific, just make sure to include that in the chat as well. And my name is Stephanie Schleicher with Integral. I'm excited to be facilitating the panel today. We'll start with each of our MIWs doing a quick introduction, telling us a little bit about themselves and how they got to where they are today. And then we will get into the panel questions. So with that, we'll start with introductions. Let's have Jenny go first.
Awesome. Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on this panel. It's been really fun getting to know some of the other MIWs through this experience. So thank you so much. For those I don't know, my name is Jenny Anderson. I've actually been in the collision industry for over 20 years, which is crazy to think of. And I've spent the entirety of my career with Enterprise Mobility and Integral. For anyone that's not familiar with Integral, Integral is a software as a service company that Enterprise owns. And I actually started my career in daily rental with a plan for it just to be temporary. I was looking in public relations and business management. And as you can see or assume based on what I've shared, it has turned into a lifelong career that I'm really thankful for. I took a little bit of a non-traditional career path, and I won't go into all the details around that, but essentially as I was working in different business verticals, I was really trying to assess where my skill set and just my passion lied. So I worked in business rental, fleet management. I was an executive assistant for a while, insurance replacement. And then kind of where I ultimately landed is where I'm at today, which is sales and account management. So I am responsible for the customer success strategy at Integral. And really my job is to coach, develop, and lead a team of customer success professionals that really own the relationship of the customer after the implementation of software. So consulting, business process expertise, upselling our products and features, representing the customer within our software organization, and just really kind of the end-to-end relationship management. It is by far my most favorite role. My team is incredible. The organization I work for is amazing. And it's just a really fun time, I think, to be in this industry right now. And it's fun to see everything evolve. So that is me in a nutshell. And again, just thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jenny. Let's have Kayla go next.
Everybody, good afternoon. I am Kayla Williams-Clark. I am the Vice President of Business Development at Classic Collision. And business development can mean a lot of different things in our industry, but here at Classic, I pretty much oversee all of our DRP relationships, our OE certifications, OE parts, marketing. So we kind of have a hodgepodge team that really drives business into Classic Collision. I have been in the collision space almost 15 years. I actually started at Enterprise. So kind of following the same rental step that Jenny just talked about, I did rental car management at a few different branches over time out of college because I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So kind of got into this by accident as well. Started working with a lot of body shops through the rental car space, ended up in the MSO space, and have done a lot of account management, whether it's working with agents directly, claims level people, some compliance pieces, anything from iCar to OEs. But a bunch of my team is on the call today. So hey to my team, I see them on. But we do a lot here at Classic Collision and kind of ended up here, like I said, by accident, like Jenny as well. But day to day, we do the repair process and hope to make it smooth for all the shops out there.
All right, thanks, Kayla. Let's have Chelsea go next. So she's trying to get off mute.
Hi, can you see me now?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. I think your camera.
Well, of course,
There we
it's
go.
me having tech trouble, and my team would laugh at that. So, hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm up here in Canada, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Just like the rest of you, so to speak, so far, I got into the collision repair business by accident. Didn't know what I wanted to do after high school, ended up taking some business admin courses and wound up in a work placement as a receptionist at a heavy truck collision repair facility. So that's where my foray into collision repair started. I had I didn't aspire to be in collision repair. My dad was a mechanic by trade, so I was familiar with cars. And I really fell in love with this industry because of the people in it. Everybody from our paint suppliers to our customers to just all of the stakeholders in the industry just really drove me to make a decision and understand that my passion lays not necessarily in collision repair, but in making a difference in people's lives. And so today, as shop owner, a managing partner of our independent repair shop in Saskatoon, that's exactly what I get to do. So our philosophy at PAR is impacting, pardon me, people in community accidentally on purpose through our world-class collision repair and doing that with our values. So really, as we're bringing our team together and as we're training young people, we know that not everybody's going to stay with us forever, but we have the ability to impact them to, learn how to volunteer and give back and just reach for their dreams. So that's kind of where I sit.
Thanks, Chelsea. And I definitely agree that one of the best parts of the industry is all the people in it. So next we will have Brenda.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Thanks again. And thank you, Stephanie. I actually live here in Florida. I'm the vice president of parts trader for insurance relationships and also business development as well. I've had kind of, like everyone has said, I always say this, but the industry found me, not the other way around. But I was actually an accounting major. I graduated in business development from Portland, Oregon, from Portland State University with the ambition to honestly, be in business, have a corner office, wear fancy clothes, all the things I envisioned, someone in business to be. And I ended up taking a position immediately with an insurance carrier, a very large insurance carrier, and stayed on the insurance lane for about 10 years. And found that I just really had a passion for it. During the course of that, I went through some cross training and found myself out in the field. So writing estimates, as an appraiser, and just found a true love of auto, found a niche that I didn't know I had. I had a little bit of a mechanical aptitude. I had no clue before that. And they asked me if I wanted to stay in that type of a role or stay along that lane. And I chose to do that. And I've made a career of it ever since. I've since, transitioned out of claims and out of insurance and went into the segment of tech. I worked for a number of tech companies along the insurance lines. And that's where I sit today. Thoroughly enjoyed the ride and continue along that sector. And very, very honored to be among all these fantastic women. So thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you. And yeah, it seems like a lot of us kind of landed in this industry by accident. So we will now get into our questions. The first question is for Jenny. We often feel pressure to be great at everything, a great leader, mother, wife, daughter, etc. How do you manage those high expectations and the pressure that comes with them and find a balance?
Yeah, this is such a good question. I had a lot of fun, I guess is the word, reflecting on this as I was preparing for today. It's interesting. I think as a leader, one of the things I really pride myself on is providing flexibility and autonomy for my team, for them to show up as not only an employee, but as a mother, a daughter, an aunt, a sister, etc. I think just for well-being and mental health reasons, your team needs to feel comfortable having, difficult conversations with you, but then also stepping away sometimes to handle things that come up in life. And I am a work in progress here. I'll say that too. I am a, busy mom. I have 2 kiddos that are 13 and 10, really involved with activities and sports. And so it's not uncommon for my husband and I to sort of divide and conquer and, running in different directions. And so sometimes that looks like flexibility with work scheduling. So logging off at 4:30 because I'm running to a baseball game, and then jumping on later at night just to kind of button up any outstanding items that I have. I'm also in a place in my life where my parents are getting older and needing some support too. And so that's a really new space that I've been navigating. And so kind of with all of these things going on, one of the things I try to be really intentional about is where I'm spending my time. Um, I really, so I, in general, in my life act with urgency, but I'm also of the opinion that if everything's an emergency, nothing's an emergency. And so I really try to think through what I've got on my to-do list. What things really require my time and attention? Are there things on that list potentially that I could just say no to? This is a new concept for me. I've typically been a person that says yes to everything. But really thinking about, is it bringing the value that warrants me saying yes? And then also feeling okay to say no, even in a situation where maybe I do have the capacity to be there or to be involved. And then just remembering to be really present in the moment too. I used to have this feeling like every day I need to crush it. I'm a list maker. So every day I kind of write out my list of things. The list always is longer than the amount of time that I have to complete stuff. And I would really look at how successful I was based on, did I crush those goals? Did I check the list off? But the reality is, like, some days I feel like a failure. And some days I only check 1 or 2 things off that list. And I've learned to just be okay with that, and recognize that tomorrow's a new day. In those tough moments, I'm also trying to carve out some time for myself, whether it's I'm going to go for a quick walk because I need fresh air, or I'm going to step away from my desk and get a cup of coffee. I'm going to read something inspirational. So just kind of remembering to have balance and not get kind of sucked into that, I call it like the busy culture, where we feel like every minute and hour of every day needs to be filled with something. I don't think that's realistic. So yeah, I guess kind of with all of that said, definitely not an expert in this area, but I'm really working hard to try to find some balance, give myself grace, the same grace that I would give, those around me, and just, do the best that I can each day.
Thanks, Jenny. Lots of good tidbits there that I think we can all take something from. Next question is for Kayla. How do you foster a supportive and inclusive environment for women in leadership positions within your organization?
I like this question even more now, hearing how many people accidentally ended up kind of in this industry, because I think it still can be very intimidating. And a lot of people, typically when you hear fixing cars or collision repair, I have a 5-year-old son and he's like, you fix cars? He's still like confused exactly what I do, but it can be really intimidating because I still think people treat it as a man's world from the outside space, right? So I think the key really is first to extend an invite. I think we can all be better in extending invites, especially to younger women and women wanting to be leaders, right? You just heard from a bunch of the wonderful women on this panel. We've all come from different backgrounds, really not expecting to be here. And then I think once you extend the invite, it's really exposing all the layers that make up our industry, right? It's not just fixing the car. There's a lot of puzzle pieces that make up this customer experience for the person getting their car repaired. You heard the insurance side and the collision side and the rental side, and so many great pieces that make this up. So, I mean, when I entered, I really didn't even know what like a fender was, right? And then, but you also have women that are really car girlies, more or less. And so I think it's really exposing those puzzle pieces. But when they get in, I think it's also a second layer then of having really transparent conversations and honest conversations and finding out each person's unique, right? I'm kind of like Jenny trying to navigate parenthood and my parents and things like that. And having those transparent conversations up front, finding out what makes people tick, figuring out how they feel valued, and heard and can have a balanced life, and really fostering that inclusion, because everybody's different. Everybody's at a different phase of life. And I think as women, we feel a little bit more pressure to be the mom and be everybody and be a superstar. I think Jenny referenced that. I feel the exact same, of trying to get everything done and be everything to anybody. So really listening and honing into that, and then proactively finding their seat at that table, that piece of the puzzle, right? It could be fixing the cars, it could be recruiting, it could be relationship building, be writing an estimate. Then you could really foster it from there by giving some individual projects, giving the training needed for those, right? You can always learn and train, and really fostering the environment for them to explore the avenue that's best at their seat at the table. Because I think when you start seeing all the puzzle pieces kind of come together and meet those goals, and as a team, you really feel part of the team and you can be proud of what you do. And then that kind of builds your confidence to want to get in a little bit more. And I think as women, the more women we see doing those things and making up these pieces, it's not so intimidating in the man's world after all. And there are success stories that come out of it. So.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. The next question is for Chelsea. So as we've kind of been discussing, we work in a male-dominated industry. Have you ever experienced resistance because of this? And if so, how did you handle it?
Okay, it's taking me a minute to get to my unmute.
That's okay.
Thanks.
No worries.
Thanks for your patience. Yeah, it is a male dominated industry, and more so when I first started at that very first shop I was at in heavy duty trucks. So that was definitely very male dominated at the time, 20 plus years ago. And yes, Kathy, I see your note here, majority of men, not male dominated. I feel very blessed and very lucky that I haven't had a lot of negative experiences with men in this industry per se. I would say that the men in this industry really have embraced women coming in and understand that women bring something a little bit different to the whole experience, to customer care, to hiring and firing, to building team culture, things like that. As far as struggling through, I would say some of my most negative experiences would be in that customer realm, having, and without generalizing, but that sort of middle-aged white male older fellow that's just used to coming into a garage and I need somebody to look at my car. Well, hey, you know what? I can come out and look at it with you. No, I need a mechanic. Actually, I can take care of you, sir. So I think learning how to assert ourselves in a way that is you putting your shoulders back and just believing that you've got what it takes, and showing people that we're here too, and we can show up too in the best way possible, and helping other women do that. So one of the things at our shop is we've got probably half a dozen females that work here, and every single one of them are empowered to do whatever role they're in, but to step into taking care of a customer or disassembling that vehicle. And I think that women are embraced in this industry, and that might be different in the US. I don't know the answer to that piece of the puzzle. But within Canada, I think just being assertive, being confident, and you know what you know. You're an expert in your field, so show up and be that person. Have a voice.
Yeah, great advice, Chelsea. Thank you. And the next question is for Jenny. What role do you think men can play in supporting and advancing women in leadership positions?
Yeah, I think they play a really big role. And one of the things, like I'll talk like from my own personal experience, I think it's really important to let men in. And what I mean by that is giving them visibility to things that you might be working on outside of your day to day. And so obviously in this scenario, I'm even thinking about a direct reporting type of structure. really asking for their support and input. They are great people to help champion efforts within an organization or within the industry. I'm really lucky to have a leader today. He's reposting stuff within our organization at the highest sort of executive leadership level, or within social media, just really trying to help promote what I'm doing. And I think that that's really important. I think it's what has allowed me to continue to pour in, all of the effort that I do with different organizations. Um, in a broader sense, I think some of my experience has been too that maybe men are a little bit intimidated about how to support us. I've heard often like, oh, I want to support the things you're doing, or I want to support what Wynn's doing. I just don't know how, or I don't feel like I know enough about it. And so one of the things that I try to do is like make it super easy for them to do that by almost like packaging up like, hey, these are all of the initiatives I'm working on. These are areas I've had some success in. These are areas where I feel like I'm, maybe running into some issues and could use some support, and just trying to make it really easy for them to go to bat for you, and to help, just kind of, lift you up. Some of my greatest mentors too have been men. The same way I think Chelsea mentioned it, females have such a unique perspective and also bring kind of a different type of value, I think, to the industry. I think you could say the same thing about men. And so sometimes when I'm feeling challenged with something, I will go to a male mentor and ask for their perspective. Like, here's how I'm thinking about it. Where am I being short-sighted, or what am I not considering? And a lot of times the input I think that you get from a male is so interesting. And a lot of times for me personally has made me just kind of like reanalyze things, or maybe come from a different angle. I've also, probably all of us on the call can relate to maybe not being great about bragging on the things that we do. I admire men for this because I feel like they're fantastic, right? About even just dropping it in a conversation, like, I just did this. And I'm like, oh man, how do I do that? But again, it's another opportunity, I think, for us to learn from them, and start to feel better about, really like, look at all these awesome things I did, and so absolutely, I think that they have a very important role to play in female leadership. And I think, the more, again, let them in, I think that is a really key piece moving forward too.
Thanks, Jenny. Definitely agree with all of that, and some great advice to take away. Next question is for Chelsea. How do you handle stress and pressure in your role as a leader? Do you want me to go to the next one and then come back, Chelsea? Okay. Okay, I'll go to the next one and then we'll come back. So this question is for Brenda. Can you share a memorable piece of advice you received during your career?
Sure. I was actually with an insurance company, and I had the rare opportunity for a woman manager who was pretty high up within the organization. And she called me into her office one day and she said, Brenda, I think you're going to do well in this industry, but I think you need to get your master's degree. And I was at a place that many of you described. I had 2 small children at home. And I thought, there is no way I can tackle this right now. And she just really encouraged me, and provided the support that I needed to get that done, both, from a monetary perspective, but also from just a life balance. I had kids that were in baseball and soccer, and it was crazy, crazy time. But what I would say about that is really just to, and her name was Nancy Kurth, for anyone who might know her, but wonderful woman. What I would say to that is invest in yourself. You know, don't take for granted that someone else is going to tap you on the shoulder and tell you what they want you to do in life or what they want you to do to excel in a particular position. Invest in yourself and take those steps along the way to do it. If you want to get to a certain place, you know, establish what it is that you need to get there. And if it's education, in my case, you know, I felt like education was the way, but it might be something different. It might be that mentor that you need. It might be that support that you need, but be sure and do that along the way and don't wait for somebody else to do that for you. I would say the second piece of that is just really never stop learning. Don't ever give up on, you know, like I hear Chelsea talking about working with heavy equipment. You know, that sounds like that was an opportunity. You know, you didn't go into that knowing about that, but you took the steps you needed to learn about that so that you were on par with everybody else around you. And I hate to, I think Jenny said it too. I hate to put it a man versus woman. I don't think it's that. I think it's just us being in this industry with lots of people, not just men, not just women, anyone who feels marginalized, you know, just that whole, you know, everybody out there. And I think this is more about elevating yourself to where you want to be. And I would say just the final thing about that is really just embrace new opportunities. I think there's lots and lots of opportunities that come our way every day. I think sometimes we don't see them necessarily, or we're afraid of them, but embrace those opportunities when they come forward. And it may be a no, it may not be the right time, but it may be a yes, and that's okay. And that's okay to explore them too. No, you don't necessarily have to take them, but explore them.
Yeah, thanks, Brenda. That's great advice. So we'll go back to, it looks like Chelsea got off mute. So I'll just repeat the question for the listeners. How do you handle stress and pressure in your role as a leader?
Well, I was just feeling a little bit of stress and pressure right now. I had a new phone protector installed on my phone and it's not working.
Oh,
Nonetheless, yeah, there's lots of stress and pressure in this industry. And I don't think it's just this industry. I think it's any leadership type role. We have a team of young people that are coming up through the ranks. We're hiring, you know, young detailers that aren't necessarily university educated or trades educated yet and know exactly what they want to do in their lives. They're looking to pay their rent and buy the next case of beer. So as a leader in the organization that I run right now, I am taking care of a lot of people. And that means that I need to show up for myself first and make sure I'm taking the time to care for myself first. And that's hard lessons because I feel like there's been a long time traditionally in our history as women that we're, you know, showing up for everybody else and we're leaving ourselves to the last. So as far as the stress and pressure goes, I do very, very simple things. I walk my dogs. I get up in the morning and I drink my coffee without the phone in front of me for the first 5 minutes. I meditate, I do yoga. But also I count on my team. I have a really great team that I believe are empowered to show up and make decisions when I'm not there. We have a very open relationship within our team of people. We are a little bit more like a family. We know what's going on in each other's lives. And so in doing so, I'm able to say, look, my daughter has a mental health issue. My team all knows that. Things are really ugly right now. I need to go right now. And nobody blinks an eye and they've got my back. But vice versa for my team. So building a culture like that, that you can show up for one another and step in so that when somebody is going through a really stressful time in their life, or they're struggling with something at work or home or whatever, we've created an environment of care with tools that people can access and modeling that behavior too. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of good tips there. Thanks, Chelsea. Next question for Kayla. What advice do you have for the next generation of women coming into the auto body / collision industry?
Well, I'll pick you up, Brenda, a little bit here. I was going to say the number one thing is always ask questions. I think we're in an industry now that's always, it's advancing fast, right? And evolving fast. So I could tell you where it is today from where I entered is severely different, and next year is going to be different. And you heard from pretty much all of us on this panel, we've taken interesting paths to get where we are, but I think you keep asking the questions and getting involved in projects. And I think a big one too is meet everybody you can. I don't think a lot of us would be in roles and leadership roles without the people that got us there. There's a lot of great people in this industry. So just try to meet as many people as you can, learn different things, take those opportunities that Brenda talked about. You'll get those opportunities. I think the more questions you ask, the more you invest in yourself to teach yourself different things about the industry and with the people that are in it, right? I think if they see you curious and they see you driven to learn, that opens some more opportunities for your plate to maybe take paths you didn't expect in this industry. But always know you have confidence in yourself and all of that. You deserve a seat at those tables and really invest in yourself. And so it's kind of piggybacking off what Brenda said, taking those opportunities. But I really think that's through investing yourself, through asking a lot of questions and teaching yourself and learning from those around you and getting to meet as many people as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. So those were all of our pre-selected questions that we had. Does anyone, I haven't seen any questions come through from the audience yet, but now is the time if anyone has questions, if you want to enter them in the chat. We'll give everyone a minute.
We're not scary, I promise.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just offer this, Stephanie, if I could really quick, which is just, I think, you know, everybody, I think everything we're saying probably resonates with everyone, but I think that first and foremost, just believe in yourself. Just believe in your abilities. No one is born knowing everything. It's a journey. It's an act, and I think you need to be true to yourself and tune out the noise, because there's always going to be someone around you who's telling you, no, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, whatever, whatever. But I think you just need to be true to yourself, own your success, and tune out the noise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Steph, I just wanted to add, as Brenda was saying that, I was like, yes, yes, yes. I totally agree with that. I think what you're going to find is people are going to put you in boxes, either based on the little amount of time they spent with you or what they know about your past. And I think as you get just more comfortable in your own skin, not even related to our industry, but just in general, you do start to realize you deserve a seat at the table. Yes, remain curious, ask questions, connect with people. It's so important. And just that like self-confidence. I spent way too much of my life doubting myself or believing something that I thought someone else thought about me incorrectly. And the minute you can kind of like just quiet that, the better things get. And surrounding yourself with like-minded people, men and women, but people that are cheering you on, the people that when you are not there behind your back are talking about all the amazing things that you're doing. Those are the types of people you need to continue to surround yourself with.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm not seeing any questions come through. Do any other of our panelists have any last words they want to say before we wrap up?
I would just add in that, yeah, look at your opportunities. Be willing to say yes, but also be willing to say no. And it doesn't have to be related to collision repair, even if you're in it, but get involved in your community, get involved in volunteering, and just keep your mind open to what's out there. And don't be afraid to use your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, thank you again to our wonderful panelists. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this event for WIN. And thank you to all of our attendees as well.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.